Rasta Jeff, you bad motherfucker.
All right, here we go. Welcome back, podcast world. I'm your host, Rasta Jeff. This is episode 902 of the Grow From Your Heart podcast. I've got a very unique episode lined up for us. In today's podcast, I'm going to build an auto watering system. That's right. In the last episode, you heard me talk about an auto watering system. Perhaps you're going out of town. Perhaps you're just tired of watering manually. Today, we're going to talk about building a very simple auto watering system. I don't have a good intro lined up. I don't have a lot of notes, so I'm just going to jump right into it. For an auto watering system, all of this is going to be a rough idea that you can customize for your own needs. None of this is set in stone. None of this is die hard. There are no rules. The idea here is to get water from a container to your plants. This is how I do it. If you see something that works great for you, do that shit. If you see something that needs to be modified, edited, or adjusted, feel free, and then send me a note and let me know what you did, and we'll talk about it later on the show and share those ideas with people. Again, this is how I do my auto water. In some of my environments, I'm feeding cocoa. In some of my environments, I'm feeding soil or soilless mixes. This will work for almost all those applications. I'm going to build a small system for an example. If you've got more plants, fucking build it bigger. If you got less plants, build it smaller. It's really not that challenging. Let me quit rambling and we'll get into it. So of course, for auto water, I don't have it with me because it's big. It's the only part I didn't bring to the room. We need a container for water. You can use a 5-gallon bucket. You can use a 20-gallon res. You could use a 1,000-gallon reservoir. A bucket of some sort to keep your water in is what we're going to start with. So it all starts with a reservoir, right? Imagine there is a receptacle of water. So you got your water. Then the next thing I think we need is a pump. This is what's going to power the entire system. For my watering systems, keep in mind, I am feeding a 5x5 grow tent. Sometimes this would do 2, maybe 4 grow tents is what this would be efficient for. The pump size I'm going to talk about works great for 1 or 2 5x5 tents. Today, I'm going to talk about this pump. This is the pump I'm using. You can tell I bought this. I have this. No bullshit. This is a pump from the company called Mondi. This is a 1/2 horsepower pump. I may recommend the 3/4 horsepower pump, but honestly, this is the one that they had at the store, and it works beautifully. So this pump goes directly into the bottom of my container. I'm going to use a 20-gallon reservoir. I'll drop some B-roll footage in later to show you guys more details once we get this put together in the grow, but we'll show you what we're doing. This goes straight into a 20-gallon reservoir is what I'm using. So this pump drops into the 20-gallon res. Here it's got a fitting with a 3/4 inch hose fitting onto it. So I'm going to show you that fitting. After that fitting, I like to use, and I've already built this just to save us a little bit of time here, but this is a big part of my auto watering system here. We've got our 3/4 inch fitting on the pump that comes with the pump. Just screw that into there, secure it nice and tight. The next piece we're going to use is this black device here. Let me see how long it'll take I put some tape on here, so it might take a second to unscrew. But the next piece we're going to use is called a pressure regulator. This will regulate the pressure through our system. Make sure we're not sending too much pressure through anything. Also, make sure we are sending consistent pressure through the entire system. This is a pressure regulator, a very affordable device, also kind of a crucial device. This will screw directly onto that 3/4 fitting on the pump. You can see I put some plumber's tape on here. I've also got a piece of dog hair on me that we're going to get rid of. But we got a piece of plumber's tape here. That's just going to keep us from dripping. It's going to keep our seals tight. So we've got our 30 PSI pressure regulator. This is a very easy to find piece, very commonly found device. This entire setup minus this PVC fitting right here, they do offer a different fitting. All of this right here is available on the Floraflex website at floraflex.com. There's a different fitting that goes in the middle, but all of this is findable on that Floraflex website. So we got the pump. We've got the 3/4 inch adapter that comes with the pump. Then we've got the pressure regulator. Then I have an adapter. This is just a 3/4 female to female threaded adapter. They sell a different one on Floraflex that I honestly didn't see until I ordered this, but it's there. You can get it. Tape on this end, screw it right in here. That goes to my adapter. Then this is a filter. This big ridiculous piece here is a filter because we are going to feed chunky nutrients to our plants. And if those chunky nutrients don't get dissolved all the way, if they get some buildup and they get down the line, they're going to clog up our emitters. That's going to be a pain in the ass. So I use this filter. So I have got the pump, I've got a pressure regulator, I've got an adapter, then I've got my filter. I use the adapter because both of these are male, so I had to use a female piece to connect these. So we've got, and I'm just tightening it up, making sure it's kind of tight. Don't over tighten it because you will strip it. Also use the plumber's tape. Where's my tape? Just this little roll of white plumber's tape will go a long way. Wrap your threads with that. That'll prevent some leaks and keep a little more sealage happening. I don't know if sealage is even a word. So real quickly, we'll just put this together here and show you what we're working with. We got the pump, we got the fitting, we've got the pressure regulator, we've got an adapter, and we've got a filter. That filter is going to save you a lot of headaches in the future. I highly recommend it. Your emitters are going to get clogged. Even with that filter, you'll have to change the emitters, but it will buy you a few days. It'll buy you some time, a little bit of maintenance time. So you can see I'm just carefully screwing it all together. I'm not sure which way I'm going to put this in the reservoir. So you can adjust your filter for your OCD, however that goes. If it goes north, if it goes south, point it the direction you want. You can see I've screwed everything together. Once again, that is going filter, or no, fuck that. I did it backwards. I'm wrong. Here it goes. It's going pump, adapter, pressure regulator, adapter, and then our filter. We're really making quick progress here. This part is all going to be submerged in my reservoir. Now, all we have to do now is get this water to the tent or to the grow environment. The next piece is a very common item that I found at my local hardware store for very affordable. This is just a garden hose with a female 3/4 inch fitting on one end and a female 1/4 inch on both ends, I guess. We got the female on both ends. Now, obviously, that's going to screw in right here. Just going to screw in right to there. I'm not going to leave it on here because this is getting obnoxious to having the recording space here. But we go filter, and then we've got our hose. This is my leader hose. This hose runs across the grow room space to actually connect into my manifold that I'm going to show you next. So, quick breakdown: pump, adapter, pressure regulator, adapter, filter, leader hose. Now you can see how we can run water. If you wanted to, you could run your watering wand from you need a different hose, but you could put a watering wand on this and hand water your plants that you need to hand water with that watering wand with this similar sort of a setup. Now I'm going to slide this out of my way. I've got a mess going on here on the podcast table, so bear with me, please. Just going to unscrew that because that's fucking obnoxious. Just get this stuff out of the way. So far, the most expensive piece here is going to be the pump. Everything else is going to be quite affordable. I got the pump at my local grow shop. You can find 3/4 and 1/2 horsepower pumps all over Amazon. Any grow stores got them. There's a bunch of websites out there that'll help you get your stuff put together. I can't think of the website I want to tell you off the top of my head. I don't have any notes. I've got like 4 notes written down for this whole show. So this is going to be fun. Now, we've gotten to our leader hose. That's going to get us to a custom-made manifold that I have built here. Let me show you this manifold. It looks like a big mess, but once I explain it, it's going to make sense. So all of this white tubing came from floraflex.com. Almost everything, actually, let me look. Everything on this manifold other than the emitters is from Floraflex. So I have built, and this is going to be hard as hell to edit, but we're going to do our best. I've built this manifold, and I'll put pictures of this in. I'll drop them in so it looks a little cleaner. But this is the tubing from Floraflex, and then I've got 4 corners from Floraflex just to make a square. Then I use 2 T's to, what are my T's for? That's a good question. I'm glad you asked. This first T right here creates an intersection for the water to come in. You can see I put a hose grommet on the end of this one here. So this is just a hose attachment readily available from Floraflex. It goes to the T. That's how the water gets in. That leader hose I showed you earlier connects right onto there. So now my water's making it all the way from the reservoir, all the way down that hose, all the way to this manifold via this connector right here. That's a pump, or that's a hose size connector. So that gets my water to this manifold. I use the 4 corners. Obviously, we made a square, and then I use it to get to the water here. What is this other end for? People are going to ask me, what is that other end for? This T right here. This is the same idea as this piece, except this one has a cap on it so that if this does get murky and fills up with any gunk, you could just take this cap off, run the water through your system, and you could blow the dirt and gunk out of this end. That's what this is for. This is your clean out end. So we got our clean out. We cap that, make sure that's nice and tight. And this is super easy to build, you guys. I took a length of Floraflex tubing and I cut it into 4 pieces, 6 pieces. And then I made a square out of it. Why do I do the square? Because this regulates my pressure. If I just built a straight line and made my emitters coming off of that, it would work. But perhaps the emitters up front would spray harder than the emitters at the back. Now we've created a loop and we're going to create constant equal pressure throughout the entire system. This little square, I'm running one of these in a 5x5 tent, and I made this outline square the size of the 5x5 tray. I put a tray in there. It all sits in a 5x5 tray, and then I put this inside of there. I realize now I could have made it much smaller. I didn't have to make it the entire perimeter of the tent. I could have made it go around the plant in the middle. I could put a plant in the middle and then put a plant on each side. This one's built for 6 plants is what this is designed for. And the other tent that I'm going to show in the video later on, that system is designed for 9 plants. You can add the emitters as necessary, but you can build this manifold as big or small as you choose. I realized in my first design, I've been making it too big and kind of wasting a little bit of tubing. It's not that expensive, but it could have saved myself. I think the runs I used were 3.5 feet long. These are less than a foot. That's 3.5, that's 9 feet that I essentially kind of wasted. So I could have saved myself a couple of bucks, but you can make this square manifold any size you want to fit your needs. If it's 1 plant, make it little. If it's 1,000 plants, make it bigger. That's essentially how it works. So I've built a square manifold with a way for water to get in and a way for waste to get out. Now, the next essential step is, you named it, is to put some sort of emitters into the plant. I'm trying to get this organized. So these are the Netafim emitters. I should have checked the flow rate. I think these are 0.3 gallons per hour is what these do. The purple one. When you guys go to buy the Netafim, you want the purple. If you're colorblind, I apologize, but you want the purple settings. You need to get 2 different things. They sell the emitter itself has got a barb. So this is a barb that pokes into the tubing, and it's purple. That is the indicator of how many gallons per hour this one operates under. So the purple Netafim pressure regulated emitters is what I buy. I buy them by the 25. They come in a bundle of 25. They're affordable. So you're going to take the Netafim emitter, and it's going to have an empty end like this. Then you have to buy the purple Netafim stakes that look like this. I'm trying to get these on camera the best I can for you. We'll do some editing. Maybe I'll just insert pictures. These have 2 little spots. If you put the emitter on the top like this, the water flows out of the top, hits this little piece, and sprays in a nice pattern. Then you stick this in your plant. Put as many of these in your plant as required. This system is going to have 1 per plant. The system I'll show you downstairs is designed for 9 plants with 2 emitters per plant. Do what works for you. Like I said, this is adjustable. This is just an idea. All of this is fuckwittable. You can customize, you can tailor this, edit this the way that you need. But this is what I'm doing, and it works very well for me. I like that I'm getting even, consistent watering, and I basically hit a button and walk away, and that shit waters. And when I hear it going, I come and turn it off. Another option is I run it on a timer so that when I'm gone, it runs on a timer. But we are not there yet. We've got the manifold built. How do I make the holes? They sell a little tool. Some of you guys are going to say, just poke the fucking holes. Yeah, sure. This thing makes it so much easier. Your holes will be exactly where you want them to be. It's simple. It's affordable. Very simple tool that I recommend, the hole puncher. I'm pretty sure I bought this at Floraflex when I got the rest of my stuff. It's cheap. Just add it right to the order. Why not? You're paying for shipping. Include the tool that's going to make life a little bit easier. It's also got an insert, so you could pop this out and do bigger tubing as well. But it works perfect for the tubes I've got, so I bought it. That's your hole puncher. You can see when I squeeze that, a little punch comes out. That will puncture your holes. Then you just pop these little barbed emitters right into there. They seal in pretty tight. I haven't had any of them leak or anything yet. They work pretty good. You may notice somewhere on this manifold is a boo-boo. I used recycled tubing, so there is a little mark. There's a hole here that I covered up in tape. Full disclosure, this was leftover tubing that I used for the episode and to make another little manifold setup for another grow space. Another thing I'm going to recommend is the tubing cutter. I know we've got all these tools and shit. Why am I wasting money on this? This thing, it makes life easy. You just set your tubing in there. It's got 2 different sizes. You can go ahead and clip your tubing with this. You can cut your sketty tubes or your big distribution tube, either one. just two simple little tools that I recommend. These were really the only tools I needed to build this entire watering system, was the little hole puncher and the tubing cutter. So grab those. They're affordable. They're easy to find. Let me go over this again because I feel like I've went really quickly. I've gone quickly through this, but I feel like sometimes it's best just to show you what we need and not fuck around. You got your pump. We've got an adapter. We got a pressure regulator, adapter once again. Then we have our filter. Then we've got our leader hose, which connects to the manifold. Now the water is flowing to the manifold. Once it hits the manifold, then I use these spaghetti emitters to go to the Netafim 0.3 gallon per hour emitters. In a lot of setups, I do 2 per plant. In a very large setup, I might do 3 per plant. That's rare. I've got a little bit of OCD, and I set up most of my 5x5 grow tents for 9 plants with 2 emitters each. The math will work out. If you put 6 in there, you can do 3 emitters each. A little bit of OCD math in there. So the whole system, I will put this together. I've got a different setup of this in a grow tent that I will put it all together and throw in some B-roll and show you what's going on in there. Now, let me check my notes. I think I've covered everything. The part we're going to get to now is I talked about the gear. I talked about the setup. I talked about tape. Just tape your joints just because that'll prevent a little bit of leak. This plumber's tape, very affordable. You can get this at your local hardware shop. You can get this almost anywhere. It's really cheap on Amazon. Then setting this up. So we've got our reservoir filled with water. You drop the pump in here. You run your shit to where you need it. You put the emitters in the plants. Now, how long do I water? That's a really good question. The way that I would set this up, I would start my plants where they're thirsty. I would wait until they're thirsty, until it is the time that you would normally wait to water them. Then we'll do this experiment. Get your thing all set up. Then get a timer. Then plug in your pump. The pump will start watering. The minute you plug that pump in, hit go on your timer. Pay attention. When your plants have reached the amount of saturation which you think they require for a solid watering or for that cyclical time period of watering, take a note, see how much time it's been, and turn your pump off. Now we know that when those plants need water, it takes that much time to feed those plants sufficiently. So hit a timer. If it takes 2 minutes for those plants to start dripping some runoff, we know that every time we water, 2 minutes will be perfect. Another thing you might want to think about is how long does it take for that pump to empty that container of water, because you don't want to run the pump dry for more than a few seconds. So maybe if it takes you 2 minutes, stop at 1:57 and leave just a little bit of water in there just to save your pump, just to rescue your pump and not burn it out, because you don't want to run that pump dry. That will kill this pump over time. That's not good for any pumps. So quickly, in case I stumbled through that, fill your container, your reservoir, get your emitters in the plants, plug in the pump, hit go on a timer. When the plants are saturated, hit stop on the timer. That's how long it takes to water your plants. Then you can use your timer to set that timer for 1:57 seconds, 1:40, whatever long it takes, and you can go out of town and you can tell the pump on Wednesday, water these fucking plants at 9 a.m. And guess what? Wednesday, it'll water your plants at 9 a.m. One thing I recommend is I put a botanic hair tray underneath all of my plants in the tent. So my 5x5 tent's got a 5x5 botanic hair tray. That way all that water just runs off into there. If I'm home, I'll shop vac that shit out. If I'm gone, it gets to sit in there for a couple of days, which is just fine. If I'm at Skankfest or in Vegas or in New Orleans or whatever, now I've got a couple of days. The plants got auto-watered and they're going to sit there in that water for a little bit. A big, healthy plant, that will not be a problem. Don't stress on that. Your roots should be well established, and that half-inch, quarter-inch of water will not cause them any stress. All right, boys and girls, I feel like I've done a great episode. It's time to wrap it up while we're still winning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Leave your comments in the this comment section there. I want to know what you think. Most of this stuff did come from the pump is Mondi. Most of the filter and this setup here came from Floraflex. All of the tubing is Floraflex. The emitters and the stakes are from Netafim. Nobody pays me to advertise these products. I bought all of this stuff with my own money out of my pocket from a local grow shop. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Make sure you check out our friends at acinfinity.com and use coupon code IRIEARMY. Make sure you check out iriegenetics.com. I'm going to give a big shout out to my friends at Fuego Pizza. That's right. If you're in Fort Collins and you got the munchies, go check out Fuego Pizza. Let them know that Rasta Jeff sent you. And that's all I've got. Until next time, take a fat dab and give your mom a hug for me. All right, gang, I'm going to have to do a voiceover because this air conditioner next to me is super loud, but here's what we've got going on. This is a 5x5 AC Infinity tank. I've just set up the auto watering system. It's ready for plants. YouTube doesn't like plants, so I'm not going to show you those. But what we've got here is a 20-gallon reservoir. We've got our pump set up in here. We've got the pump. We've got the pressure regulator. We've got the connector. Then we've got our filter. That is now connected to a leader hose. That lead hose has got the female end that connects to the filter. That will run down this end, and it connects to our manifold here that we made. This is a different manifold than what I showed you upstairs, but it works for this tent. This is a different size tent, so adjust your manifold as needed. So we've got our manifold connection here. It goes to a T. Then I made a square out of it. I used 4 elbows to make a square. I do that to equalize the pressure in the system. Then at that end, you can see I've got that little end right there with a cap on it. I can take that cap off, run water through the system. It'll purge out anything that is clogging up my system. Help me purge out and clean out the tubes there. Then from there, we go to these emitters. I've doubled up on emitters. These are the purple, I think they're called magenta on the label. The purple 0.3 gallon per hour emitters. Those will run to these 2 bad dogs here, and these will go directly into the pots. They'll stick up about that far out of the soil, somewhere in this area, and I'll put them on opposite sides, and those will evenly water each plant. I'll put 2 stakes per plant, and of course I'm using a Botanicare tray to catch all that water. I'm not going to overwater too much. If I do, I'll grab a shop vac, suck that water out of here. For today's purposes, I have hooked up the pump to an extension cord with an on-off switch just to show you what I could do. So quickly, it's going to go from the pump through the filter, down the hose, into our emitter system. So we're going to hit go. Watch how quickly this happens for us. I'm getting sprayed. I'm not going to let this run too long. We're getting wet in here, but this is active watering happening. You can see me getting wet. I'm not going to pump a bunch of water onto my floor here, but you can see those bad dogs are working. We're getting wet in here. So that's a quick do-it-yourself auto watering system. We got the whole floor wet. Got my hands wet. The phone is wet. But quickly, we could get all this water out of here into each plant very quickly. In the future, I will time how long it takes to water the plants. I'll put the emitters in the plants. I'll hit go. I'll set a timer. I'll see how long it takes. And then I know that is how long it takes to water the plants with my auto watering system. Then I pay attention to how many days apart those waterings are, and I'll adjust that watering as necessary. Probably every 72 hours, I'll need the water in this room. So we'll set it to go 72 hours for about 2 minutes, and the plants will probably be sufficient. So that is my AC Infinity setup with my auto watering system in there. If you have any questions, check me out in the comments.
Time to take another dab. Grab your piece in and I go find the bag. Rasta Jeff is in the lab. Sit back, perk 'em up, and relax. Hold up.
Roots and wisdom start to show from the knowledge seeds we grow. Tune in now to hear the vibe. Rasta Jeff in our conscious tribe. He spreads the truth in every word. Every voice must now be heard. Healing light through cannabis. Grow from your heart, pure bliss. Rise up higher, find your way. Grow from your heart every day. In the light we stand real strong. Join the movement, sing the song. Natural medicine and love flows within us like a dove. Educate and elevate. Join the journey, don't be late. Open minds to see the truth. In the soil lies the proof. Rasta Jeff will guide you through. In this garden find the new. Rise up higher, find your way. Grow from your hearts every day. In the light we stand real strong. Join the movement, sing the song. Open minds to see the truth. In the soil lies the proof. Rasta Jeff will guide you through. In this garden find the new. Rise up higher.